Pattern interrupt. 1, 2, 3. First of all, change doesn't happen by force, it happens by choice. If nothing changes, nothing changes. I'm sure you've heard this quote before, and there's never been a truer word said. So we need to do something. So I first of all want to speak into how important it is to bring compassion, understanding, and support to ourselves when we come to make these changes, the ones that we've gone through everything there is. We've done the resistance work, we've done the emotional eating, we've done the self-love, body love, all those steps, and we're here and we're still struggling. So this is where we can use pattern interrupts to course correct. So you can use this guide on any habit. But we're going to start with our emotional eating challenges, as this is why we're here together. So, what is a pattern interrupt? To create a new path, we must truly understand what is happening on automatic first. Do you remember the bus analogy? So, the goal here is to get into the driver's seat so that your nervous system can take a back seat and you can step in and actually start to create processes that feel good. When we pattern interrupt and create new desirable actions and behaviors, we build new pathways to feel positive emotion. And then eventually the old path fades and the new pattern becomes the norm. We work on the theme that if we do something often enough, it will eventually become automatic. I know, it's easier said than done. So the more we know about our old path or the existing one, the better. So, to help you interrupt unwanted eating patterns and to replace them with more desirable behaviors, I've broken this process down into 3 steps. So, a reminder that we can't create new habits, we can only replace existing ones. So, first, we have to get really clear and truly understand what's going on at this moment. Not an easy thing to do, but the steps are: get clear about the existing habit, decide ahead of time when you're going to interrupt the pattern the next time your habit shows up. And step 3 is all about the pause. And this is what you've been practicing for. This is where you will truly put the pause into action. A note here: resistance is inevitable. There will always be resistance to change. Understanding and compassion must be present here. And if you're not there yet, this is not the lesson for you to follow through with. You need to go back and repeat the lessons to help you bring more self-love and understanding to your mind, your body, and yourself. There are 2 important factors when it comes to pattern interrupts. The first one is awareness. So interrupting our old patterns that have been happening for so long is so much about awareness. Simply learning these steps here are supporting you in recognizing what's happening, helping you to see and understand where the resistance is in finer detail. But you do have to really get present in your mind and your body in order to understand what is actually happening. And the other thing is acceptance. There's a lot of acceptance needed when we're trying to remove our unwanted eating habits, and often processing disappointment, because who doesn't want the flipping cake? It's a real kicker in that moment. Recognizing that it's a choice and we can choose to process and accept. It's not easy for our inner toddler, or you might want to call them your inner rebel. So really rely on success partners and support from fellow members in the community. So let's have a look at this. Step 1, getting clear about the existing habit. You'll begin by working on the change outside of the moment, not in the moment. In the moment, there's too much going on. So we have to recreate these typical moments for ourselves in order to get clear about the habit. So You're choosing a most typical scenario by noting down what is actually happening in these moments. So, some questions to journal around are: when does this pattern typically happen? So, what time of day is it? Routine? What routine is it? What is the trigger? Is it stress, boredom, loneliness, exhaustion? What emotion is there? What thoughts drive the habit? So you might have an underlying unconscious thought of, I've been at work all day. I've deserved this. Or I worked out really hard today, so I'm going to have the glass of wine or the chocolate bar, whatever it happens to be. And it's not to say that you shouldn't have it. It's you deciding you want to change these patterns. It's recognizing it's a choice to pattern interrupt. What actions do I typically take in this moment? So, what is the course of actions that's happening in your typical scenario? And importantly, where is the point of no return? Do you know what point that is where it's too late? And it can happen really fast. We just go on automatic. And it's almost like you don't even think about the idea that you don't care in this moment, which is why we're doing this up ahead. You're not trying to fix anything. At this point, you are understanding your pattern clearly and you're working with any resistance. You know how to do that. You don't need me to remind you. So, step 2, once you've done your journaling, you're very clear about what is happening, how you feel, and where that point of no return is. We're finding the pattern break here now. So deciding ahead of time when you will interrupt that pattern next time this scenario plays out. And then what we're going to do is we're going to imagine going back 2 or 3 steps from that point of no return. So I want to back up here, and that could be at any point. This course correct that we're going to create is one action that you will take in that moment that is different from that typical scenario. It has to be particularly different. It might even be before you get to the store or when you're in the store choosing the foods that you would normally reach for. You get to decide when that is. And then once you've found your pattern break and decided on an action, you need to go there in your mind and notice how it feels. And you need to go there more than once. You've got to stay there. You've got to be there. You've got to watch yourself going through this process in your mind as though it's playing out. So just some examples here. Your pattern interrupt might be before you open the fridge, you're going to take a big breath. Before grabbing a snack, you might go through the pause. Right before taking the first bite. So this pattern interrupt might not be about removing the emotional eating. It might be that you want to create the change of actually really enjoying and like ritualizing this moment, so you actually get to enjoy in a relaxed way your favorite thing. So right before taking that first bite, you might decide your pattern interrupt is to sit down instead of standing in front of the cupboard like I used to. It was like the cupboard downloaded into me. So maybe before you go into the kitchen, right after work, you're coming home, perhaps your pattern interrupt could be going into a different room, changing your clothing, have a shower instead. These are just all examples. You haven't got to do any of these. You've got to do what works for you. And again, it may be that you need to interrupt the pattern at the store, but it is a choice. So even if you choose, this is really important, even if you choose to eat anyway, it's a choice rather than an autopilot reaction. This is real progress. You're building a new muscle here. So whatever action you decide, it must create a different pattern. And then with that different pattern, you're going to see the change and you're going to have time to choose differently. Now we move on to step 3. This is showtime. The moment that you have been practicing the pause for. So step 3 is in the moment. In the moment when you're about to do something that you know later on you will regret and it doesn't serve your highest good. So quite simply, believe it or not, it's the pause. So you pause when you come to that moment that you've been rehearsing this course correct. You pause and check in with your thoughts, your emotional state, and your body. All three of those must be taken in this moment of reality. You're now in the moment. So that pause that you've been practicing this is why it's so important for emotional eating. So go through the steps just as you practiced and visualized in step 2, interrupting the old pattern. Do the pattern interrupt. You might not do it very well in the beginning, but just try. And then come and tell me how it went. Come and tell your fellow members, your success partners, how it went. Because each time you follow your pre-decided pause and your new interrupt, you strengthen the new path. This is where you're going, where you really want to go. A reminder here, you're not necessarily stopping yourself, you're supporting yourself. You are not forcing change, you are practicing choice. Even if the choice is still yes, you pause long enough to decide. That creates a new neural pathway, and that means we're going in the right direction. The more you pause and discern, the more the old habit fades and the new path takes over. You really have to give yourself the gift of time here. And you're recognizing shifts, such as not engaging in emotional eating as often or as soon, even. Like you've given yourself time and space to consider it. Sometimes not emotional eating, but simply eating with joy and awareness versus stress. You're breaking free of some of your old habits, but it's not always linear. So you don't have to get this perfect, just start noticing. Each pause creates an opportunity for choice instead of habit. The old pattern won't disappear overnight, but every time you walk this new path, it becomes easier to follow. And one more final word on resistance. It is inevitable. You already know this. You have the lessons. Go back, revisit. There will always be resistance to change. And understanding and compassion is always part of this process. So to summarize briefly, number 1, get super clear and analyze. Write it down. Get really clear. Number 2, decide when and where to pattern interrupt. And number 3, use the pause in the moment. There's our pattern interrupt. Let me know how that goes. I will see you soon.